been identified as a 31-year-old California teacher. Twitter is erupting in chaos, and Hassan clips are going viral left and right, particularly all of his clips inciting political violence and telling his fanbase to murder his political opponents. Tons of people with influence are campaigning for Hassan to be arrested immediately. He has responded and is not happy. He's crashing out, crying about free speech and how he should actually not be locked up. He is very excited doing his breaking news coverage. Abysmal as always. Psycho TikTokers are going viral, crying that the assassination was unsuccessful and talking about how they want to shoot every conservative. Subscribe or you'll get locked up like Diddy Piker. You're cocked.
Let's up those numbers!
Now let's begin. Right, so massive news. Apparently, there's been another shooting, this time at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It was apparently a California teacher, Cole Allen, age 31, who presumably attempted to assassinate Trump. And basically the entirety of Twitter is jumping on Hassan now, highlighting his statements, encouraging political violence, particularly one clip where he specifically talks about assassinating Trump. So anyways, let's first check out the details of the story and then dive into the Twitter chaos. So here's the clip and the shooter being caught.
Yeah, and it's an average day. Everything's totally fine. Things are good. CBS lead anchor. Oh, I see. He doesn't even... The gunshots go up. He doesn't even blink. And the best part about it was this guy. He doesn't sit down. He just sits there and he's just eating. Look. Doesn't give a fuck, man. So this right here is the shooter. And like, honestly, fast as fuck, boy. Look at him. Damn. Damn, bro. Cosmetic security. Jesus, look at that. Oh my God. He hit him with the Naruto run. You got Sonic the Hedgehog. Look at that. Damn, bro. Look at that. Woo. Honestly, all of these guys should be fucking fired. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how do you have a guy run by you and you're like, oh, wow, oops. Oh, geez, you're not even looking at him. They obviously did get his ass, right? Not a big surprise. And I hate to... the guy looks like E-Rob. Holy shit, guys. Holy. Like, are you kidding me? It looks like fucking E-Rob. Yeah, look at that. Like, for a second, I thought it was. I did. Now, you can tell it's not, because E-Rob, I think, is balding on the top here, and this guy isn't. But, you know, besides that, I thought it was him.
Right, so basically just another day in America. Now, there are a bunch of people just instantly saying it's staged or false flag, just a classic anytime something like this happens. But I feel like I'd need more details for that, because there's still a guy who got caught and he's probably going to get locked up for life, right? So that would be a really dumb deal to agree to. Like, oh yeah, just pretend to shoot me here and then you can just go to prison for life, right? Because that's an actual thing that's happening here. So I would need like more clarification on that. Or it's a case of people like Hassan who instantly after anything, they just preemptively say it's a false flag. Like the two diplomats that got shot and Hassan was like,
I'm not Mr. False Flag at all, but like every single thing that he did in the aftermath of the shooting is so fucking crazy that it's like you could not have designed a better false flag incident like this.
So anyways, so far it seems like some radical lunatic who probably watched one too many people like Hassan Piker or someone like him. And basically the logic here is that, oh, Trump is Hitler, therefore taking him out is actually a good thing and it somehow makes you a morally virtuous person. But the problem here is that you just can't be supporting assassinations even if you really, really hate the person, because then society completely collapses and then all elections are pointless because the leader is just going to get assassinated when one side doesn't like them, right? Which is why when people like Hassan justify murder, this sort of stuff becomes normalized. Now, people instantly pointed out that this was a California teacher, which is very unsurprising. I mean, that place is radical as fuck, right? Any place that like sort of welcomes Hassan there or in their like universities or whatever is likely going to be going down this path. 30 years old and threw their life away, that is just not a good judgment call. Now, apparently this was like a decent guy before. He made like a prototype thing to assist wheelchairs.
So this is from 2017, okay? This is the guy that was the shooter. Here we go.
College student Cole Allen developed a prototype for a wheelchair emergency brake.
Yeah.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground. The idea with this is to prevent it from moving at all.
Recent Aging into the Future conference held by
Really sad to see somebody with such a, like a selfless idea to turn into a nutball. I think that's sad. It's genuinely sad. I mean, like, maybe it wasn't a good idea. Maybe he's a goof boy, right? But, like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of like pipeline you have to go down in life, but there's basically two paths in life. The Legendary Series or Hassan Piker streams, and Buddy got unlucky. So then Asmund talks about how certain people need to be prosecuted, and he's definitely hinting at Hassan here.
You have an entire culture of people that are advocating for, promoting, and trying to manifest political violence and terrorism, and nothing happens to these people. They're not within their First Amendment rights. They're openly advocating to kill elected members of the government. Like, what are we doing here? But for some reason, we're letting this happen. So they lost the election and Trump won the election, and now you have that happening. So whenever, like, can you imagine how much chaos it would be if after every single election, and usually our elections are like 51-49, right? Like they're very, very close. Every time they didn't get what they wanted for an election, just totally turned the board over and enacted complete chaos. Can you imagine how like you wouldn't be able to have elections, you wouldn't be able to have a country, you wouldn't be able to have any democracy, you wouldn't be able to have government. It would just be impossible. Like you couldn't do anything.
I mean, true, if you just kill people you don't like, you don't really have a democracy anymore, right? And when you don't go after people who are explicitly talking about murdering everyone, murdering their political opponents, killing like half the country, not just Trump, all like capitalists or landlords, I think you set a really bad precedent, and it makes people think that it's actually okay. And I know the instant copium coming from Hassan fans, it's free speech, you're a Nazi trying to silence free speech, and they just don't understand that free speech does not apply to actually inciting violence, right? That's like the exception. So then Asmund talks about how assassinating Trump is actually way worse than letting him live because a bunch of people are just gonna take his place.
What I think is very funny is that, or not funny, but ironic, is that if they ever do successfully assassinate Trump, they're going to get the exact opposite of what they want. They are. They are gonna. Can you imagine what would happen if they did that? Oh my God. Oh my God. Don't speak of it, please. Well, no, I'm just being honest. Like that's that could, I mean, it could happen. Like we've had presidents shot before. It could happen. Definitely it could happen. And yeah, again, y'all brainwashed. I mean, really? And what's going to happen? I think that they would just go absolutely fucking nuclear. I think JD Vance, you would embolden every single right-wing and right-wing adjacent person, and they would go absolutely fucking nuclear about those people. And they should have done this with Charlie Kirk. They should have done this with him. And they didn't, because I think the reason why the government didn't do it with Charlie Kirk, this is my opinion, is because Charlie Kirk wasn't one of them. Charlie Kirk was just like a random, political activist. He wasn't a member of the government. He wasn't a... Keep in mind, do you want to know one of the only bills that every single person inside of the Senate and the House voted to support was increased funding for the Secret Service. The moment that these people feel like things are actually on the line for them, you're going to see things change really fast. If you're not in the government, you're not in the machine, you're not one of them.
Yeah, so this is what I don't get, because it's really like short-term thinking and emotional outrage, right? Because if you were logically thinking and you decided, okay, I want this guy and his ideology completely gone, the worst way to do that is to kill him and make him like this martyr, right? Basically, by killing him, you cement him as like a historical figure, right? And he's gonna have like 50 successors who are basically just as bad or worse, right? And the worst part is that none of these bozos consider is that this gives them the perfect excuse to go 100 times harder and actually be Nazis and actually crack down on everyone. Oh, these people are evil. They're trying to assassinate me and kill me and, you know, kill every like conservative and murder capitalist. So basically, they'll actually have an excuse to go and arrest anybody like the Gestapo, like they were talking about, in order to prevent this sort of stuff from happening, right? And they would actually be justified in that sense. So yeah, I really feel like these people need to think
Reach in the bin
That's
and
right.
pull it out.
Pull out a snake.
You know, I actually have a black hole bag over there. Did I ever show you that?
Wait, I thought it was the black hole lunchbox.
Can I only have one black hole thing? Is this what you're?
I know.
You
Who
think?
am I talking
I'm gonna
to?
show you. Wait, hang on. Okay.
You might have shown me this a long time ago. This is a black hole bag. Oh Lord, Lord Jesus!
Wait.
What the hell?
It's a
What
okay.
the?
Okay.
I love it. And then there's the eyes.
Oh no, I forgot what I put in here.
Okay.
I put a hole in
You
here.
put a hole in the hole.
Yes. What a place to put a hole.
Doesn't.
Don't you remember my
Oh,
hole?
I remember the hole.
You
now.
remember the hole? This is a hole.
We did that whole thing where we cut
This
the
is a
square,
hole.
and then you could walk
What I
through
said
it.
was like, here's a sheet of paper. I'm going to cut a hole in this sheet of paper that you can walk through.
That's right.
And you said no.
And I said, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
But you did.
And I still in
That's
here.
a very cool thing.
Yeah. Chuck, what you got for me?
All right.
A grab bag.
This is the grab bag, and I will pull it out of this black hole made by Apple computers.
Galactic Gumbo.
The Galactic Gumbo. That's no, I think never shown no got my dad didn't do. This is Dalton. Hey, Dr. Tyson, Lord Nice, greetings from Huntsville, Alabama. I was watching an
Huntsville,
old
Rocket City.
Rocket City.
Which Trump officially named. Well, by the way, it was always named Rocket City.
Right.
And then Trump decided to.
I'm going to officially name it Rocket City, not to be confused with Little Rocket Man.
That's like coming to New York and saying, I'm going to rename New York the Big Apple.
Which he would do that, by the way. Anyway,
go
that's so funny. Greetings from Huntsville, Alabama. I was watching an old explainer on absolute zero and why it's impossible to reach it. If
Nice.
it is impossible by quantum physics to have a particle become completely stationary, then would it not be possible to extract infinite energy from it in the form of heat? In doing so, violating the first and second laws of thermodynamics. It seems a bit paradoxical to never be able to reach absolute zero, since you seemingly can always have something colder. But that, I don't know why you would say you seemingly could have something colder.
No, he's what this is, Dalton. He's merging a classical brain with a quantum brain. Okay,
right.
In terms of his interest in answering the question.
Right.
So, just let me talk you through this.
All right. Talk you off the ledge, Dalton. It's going to be okay.
Talk you off the absolute zero ledge.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just remind people that there's no such thing as cold.
Right.
You can't like put cold in something.
That's where I was
'Cause if
going
you-
when I said it's...
If you could do that,
Right.
then you can make something like infinitely cold.
Yes.
Just add more cold.
Add more cold.
So what we sense as cold is just the absence of heat.
Right.
So you start pulling heat out.
Right.
This is what your refrigerator does.
Right.
It pulls heat out of your food.
Right.
We don't think of it that way.
Right.
You put in something that's room temperature, it takes the heat out.
Right.
If you take heat out of something, what happens to its temperature?
It goes down.
And you take it out, where does that heat go?
It's got to go somewhere.
It gotta
that's
go
for
somewhere.
Sure.
You ever go around back of a
Goes
refrigerator?
out the back of your refrigerator.
You ever go
It's
around
hot
back?
as hell back there.
You ever go around back?
Yeah, it's
Those
pretty-
coils are dissipating
Yeah.
coils to send out the heat.
Send out the heat.
It not only radiates the heat, but it's in touch with air, so
Right.
the air will conduct heat away as well.
Nice. Right.
Okay? But this is a major issue with spacecraft.
Okay.
Because if you're in space and you have machines that generate heat,
Right.
how do you get rid of the heat? You got to dump the heat somehow.
Okay.
So you can't just have, well, you can have radiators, yes, but each radiator has to be pointing away into space.
Mm-hmm.
They can't point to each other. You can't have a battery of radiators,
Right.
right? Not a literal battery, but like
Right. An array.
an
alignment.
an array of radiators that are like, if they point to each other,
Right.
nothing,
Yeah.
it just feeds each
Yeah,
other the
it's-
same heat.
It's like, I'll heat you, you heat me.
Exactly. So they all have to face space, but it doesn't have the benefit of air whisking away the heat. It can only radiate it away. Whereas on Earth, you can release heat both ways.
Okay.
It can radiate away, and you can convect air around it, and it just takes it away.
Right.
Very efficient
Right.
when you have a medium such as an atmosphere to do that.
Right.
All right. So
Cool breeze.
a cool breeze will cool you down faster than just you radiating
You're
your
radiating away your
excess
whole heat.
Okay.
Right.
It's slightly different. The cool breeze is forcing your sweat to evaporate.
Right.
And the evaporation takes energy out of you. But so let's get back to the absolute zero.
Absolute zero
So I
and-
keep taking heat out, and the temperature gets lower and lower and lower. you reach a point where quantum phenomena dominates, and you can no longer use classical reasoning. This, by the way, Dalton's not alone in this intersection, this troubled, paradoxical intersection between classical physics and what we call modern physics.
Okay.
So you get down there and you try to take more heat out, and you can't because and by the way, taking heat out means that particles are moving slower and slower.
Right.
Okay. The heat is vibrational energy typically. Okay. So you take that out, and there's a regime where the quantum fluctuations prevent it from ever stopping its motion. All right.
Okay.
So you're saying, that means there's energy there.
Right.
Let me pull that energy out.
Let me utilize that energy.
I think I'd have to confirm this with our cosmology trio.
Brian and Jana.
Brian Cox, Brian Green, and Brian Cox, of course, is in the UK.
Right.
But he comes through, and he's a good friend.
And then sometimes Sean.
Sean Carroll.
Right.
Oh, yeah, he's a good guy, too. When we speak of 0-point energy of the vacuum of space,
right,
I think that's what they're referring to. The energy below which you cannot go.
Okay.
Because it's 0 point, but it's not really zero.
Right.
But if you try to get to zero, that's what you're stuck with. And that's quantum fluctuations. And I don't think you can extract energy out of that lowest energy fluctuation, because it needs to take energy out, you need a lower energy state to land in.
Right.
And you can't.
Right. Because that's it.
Who's that guest we had in another
Anton,
show?
And in this video, we're going to be tackling one of the most fundamental questions in particle physics.
That's it.
Is there anything inside a quark? And that's because for a very long time, based on our best understanding of the universe, and specifically based on something referred to as the Standard Model, researchers always believed that quarks are elementary particles, meaning that they have no inner structure and are not made of something smaller. Or basically, there is nothing beyond the quarks, at least based on the Standard Model of physics. But one of the recent experiments from the Large Hadron Collider, and specifically the CMS collaboration, something you can learn about in one of the studies in the description, for the first time in history, essentially pushed the boundary of how small of a thing we can actually see, in order to find out if that hypothesis and this proposition is actually true. And so let's discuss a little bit more about this. But first, in order to understand why this is important, let's first discuss just a little bit of history and how we've discovered all of this. Or basically, why do we even have this Standard Model of elementary particles? And technically here, the history goes back thousands of years. Because back in the days, before we could even perform these experiments, even ancient Greeks believed that ordinary matter seems to be composed of something that's very difficult to see, but that seems to be indivisible and does not contain anything inside. They refer to this as the uncuttable or indivisible matter, which in Greek is atomos, and that's where the word atom came from. But their factual existence remained more or less controversial up until 1905. This is actually when Albert Einstein published his paper on Brownian motion and was able to prove that molecules were not just mathematical illusions, but actually existed. And soon afterwards, Ernest Rutherford discovered that they were not indivisible at all. As a matter of fact, even atoms in this case seem to contain a dense nucleus inside of them, right in the center. And so following these early experiments, pretty much every single year, something new was discovered about some of these particles. And some of the first discoveries from the nucleus were made just a decade afterwards. And so basically by 1919, researchers confirmed the existence of protons, and by 1932 they also discovered neutrons. But some of the biggest breakthrough was actually made in 1968. This is when physicists physicists realized that even these protons and neutrons were actually made out of something else even smaller. This was the discovery of quarks. And so every time scientists looked deeper and deeper and tried to create something with more and more energy, they seemed to discover new layers. But by 1970, the Standard Model essentially codified the existence of most of these fundamental particles. And so for the past few decades, all of these subatomic particles can essentially be summarized in this image. We basically have 17 distinct elementary particles, with the last one, the Higgs boson, only confirmed to exist back in 2012. But pretty much all of them do something different and are even fundamentally different in how they react with everything else. For example, 12 of them are known as fermions. These are electrons and quarks, which form the matter as we know it. But 5 of them are bosons, which are a little bit more difficult to imagine because their job is to essentially carry forces. So things like the strong force, which basically holds the atom together, seems to be produced by these mysterious bosons. But quarks, which are of course the smallest particles inside the atom, are also unique because they seem to come in 6 unusual types. For reasons that I still don't really get, these are not actually known as types, but are known as flavors. And the flavors are up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom. Intriguingly, what makes these particular particles particularly special is the fact that these are the only particles that seem to feel all 4 fundamental forces. They feel the gravity, they feel the electromagnetic force, and they feel the weak and the strong force. In comparison, something like a neutrino can only feel 2 forces, gravity and the weak force. Alright, yeah, I know things are getting a little bit more complicated and a little bit more technical, but the main point here is that, well, that's kind of what these fundamental particles look like as of 2026, and today we believe these are the basic building blocks of everything in the universe, with the assumption being that they are possibly like point-like entities with maybe no size at all. And as a matter of fact, we have no idea what they even look like if you look at them super close. But naturally in science, it's always important to kind of stay skeptical and to possibly test some of these propositions and some of these ideas. And so if history were to repeat itself, maybe even quarks could be composed of particles that are even smaller. And this has been previously proposed with the name prion, proposed as a potential explanation for these even smaller point-like sources that could actually be the true fundamental building blocks of all matter. This was proposed back in 1974 by Jojeshpati and Abdus Salam, and they were mostly intended to explain the large number of existing particles and their properties. But for over 50 years, they remained unproven. Although if they do exist, they would simplify this particle zoo and would explain everything in a much more elegant way. And that's essentially what this new experiment was trying to test and to find out. Do prions exist, and can we possibly find them? And so to test this CMS detector at the Large Hadron Collider was used to collide protons at incredibly high energies. This is in essence what this whole study is about. And that's because by colliding protons at these energies, there was maybe a slight chance that some of them would not just produce quarks, but would also break apart quarks as well that could then produce prions. And in this experiment, scientists specifically focused on something called D-jet angular distribution. Yep, more technical stuff. I mean, technically you can skip this part by using the thingy below. But in essence, this is a kind of a tool in high energy physics that tries to find new phenomena by measuring the scattering angle resulting from the collision of 2 extremely energetic particles. And so if there's some kind of a new interaction or some kind of a new unusual particle, it will often produce collisions with angles that don't match expectations and previous theories. In other words, this is a great technique because it seems to be very sensitive to new physics. And so when quarks scatter, they're supposed to create jets, which are kind of like sprays of particles that fly out in different directions. And so by measuring the angles at which these jets fly out, researchers can then tell if quarks are behaving like smooth point-like dots, or if they possibly have something inside of them as well and are made out of individual particles, which would produce different angles. And that's because they would break apart and scatter in a different way. And so here the results from the study used a lot of data collected between 2016 and 2018, focusing on probing quarks down to a scale of about 10 to minus 20 meters. And just to give you a better understanding, that's approximately 10,000 times smaller than a typical proton. Okay, so what did they find? Well, at this scale, right now, there's absolutely no evidence that something seems to be inside or that there is any kind of an inner structure. Or essentially, the data shows that quarks still seem to be point-like and seem to scatter as if they had nothing inside, with all of these scattering angles matching the predicted value from the standard model perfectly. With this experiment right now setting the most stringent limit on this so-called quark compositeness, with the overall conclusion from the study being that if quarks do have something inside and if these preons are real, it can only be revealed if we actually use even higher energies of at least 37 tera-electron volts, or basically it would require even more powerful collisions. But this experiment didn't just look for quarks and preons, it also tried to find something else beyond the standard model, or something that possibly did not match predicted values. For example, some kind of an extra spatial dimension, some kind of a quantum black hole, or maybe some kind of a sign of dark matter. And while they did find some kind of a very small difference in the data for some of the high mass regions, they also determined that none of them were significant enough to claim a new discovery. And so overall, as of mid-2026, the standard model of physics seems to be more or less correct. And though it is maybe incomplete, right now this is the best model we have to explain what everything is made out of, and to of course explain the entire universe. Although just as a small side note, when it comes to these predicted preons, while still highly speculative, a lot of previous models proposed that in terms of size, they technically could be much smaller than what scientists were testing for. Compared to what was tested in this study, they might actually be at least 10,000 times smaller, implying that maybe these collisions were just not powerful enough to break these quarks apart and to create these even smaller particles. And so if the existence of preons is confirmed, it would definitely revolutionize particle physics. But nevertheless, this experiment definitely did not discover anything. Nevertheless, these experiments are still quite important, and in this case, for reasons we discussed in a lot of previous videos. For example, the standard model still cannot actually explain gravity. And I mean, gravity is one of the biggest forces in the universe, yet somehow it's completely missing from this picture. None of these particles, and of course none of these bosons, can physically explain how or why gravity works. And though Higgs boson that was confirmed in 2012 explains how some of the mass is produced, which can then lead to the explanations of gravity, it actually only explains like 1%. 99% of mass is unexplainable right now, which is something we discussed in one of the previous videos in the description, and something we'll be talking about very soon because there has been some additional research. So, subscribe and stuff, because that video is coming out really soon. But apart from gravity, it also does not explain dark matter, it does not explain dark energy, and cannot even explain why there is more matter than antimatter in the universe. In other words, some of the biggest questions and some of the most profound questions cannot be explained using this somewhat simple particle model. And so by cracking a quark and by finding a structure inside of it and possibly discovering some kind of a new subatomic particle could potentially lead physics to a new complete theory of almost everything. Which means that the search is not over yet. While this particular experiment didn't discover anything, just as I mentioned before, this was from the data from 2016 to 2018. Which means that there's a lot of data that has not been analyzed yet, and the current third run has not been analyzed and has not been studied. As a matter of fact, some of the future data, and especially from the High Luminosity Large Hadron Collider, may allow us to probe even smaller scales and higher energies. Which means that maybe, just maybe, in the next few years, we might indeed discover that quarks are not the end of the line. We might find that next layer of reality, which of course would be groundbreaking for modern physics. Or alternatively, maybe all these additional experiments will just confirm that quarks are indeed the smallest possible subatomic particles. Which means that a lot of those other mysteries like antimatter and dark matter have to be studied in some other way that we obviously do not know yet. But based on this study, right now we can confirm that quarks seem to be the smallest constituents. There seem to be no hidden or extra dimensions in the universe, there seem to be no dark matter particles discovered in any of the collisions, and there were no axion-like particles or quantum black holes. And so here, by analyzing these very specific angles following collisions, researchers definitively showed us that we can test a lot of physical concepts by just looking at some of this older data, which means that we'll come back and discuss additional data and additional discoveries in some of the future videos. On that note, thank you for watching, subscribe, come back tomorrow to learn something else, support the channel on Patreon where you can find additional videos without any ads and can DM me directly, or by joining the channel membership that grants you early access. You can also support this channel by buying the Wonderful Person t-shirt in the description below. Stay wonderful, I'll see you tomorrow, and as always, bye bye.
Wisconsin.
Yes.
Betul. The universe. Everything that happens in the universe is an electron
looking for a place to rest.
Looking to hang its hat.
Yeah.
And so...
Honey, I'm home.
A hard day in the circuit. But people imagine that you could tap this 0-point energy and make like rockets out of it and travel through space. And I don't have problems people imagining that. It doesn't seem likely to me, though, based on what we know of the behavior of quantum physics.
Gotcha.
So there you have it.
All right, Dalton, way to go, brother. Hope that keeps you from,
keep you on the ledge.
From jumping off the ledge. All right, this is Rachel Ambrose. Rachel says, Rachel here from Austin, Texas. Photons have to be literally everywhere all the time, even in a dark room. If I can see, then there's photons hitting my eyeballs. I feel like people don't talk about this enough. They are filling every inch of space all the time. They're everywhere. Furthermore, somehow photons from the Big Bang are still here right now in the form of cosmic microwave background radiation. Neil, can you please speak to this?
Yes. Muhammad Ali said it best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm pretty. That's right, Howard. Look at me. I'm pretty, Howard.
Or Howard Cosell.
Howard Cosell. I'm so fast. I'm so fast. I turn off the lights and I'm in bed before the room get dark.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So he knows that photons have to go,
Right.
Well, he's thinking that dark is penetrating the room, but light is exiting the room when you turn off the light. The light gets absorbed and it's gone. Your eyes are not the ultimate arbiter of whether there are photons in the room.
Right.
Because your eyes only see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet.
Roy G. Biv.
Yeah, sorry, indigo, violet.
Indigo, violet.
If you got to get the Biv going there.
Yeah.
Isaac Newton put in the eye.
Did he?
Yeah. Because he's fascinated, mystically fascinated by the number 7. A spectrum can't have 6 colors.
It can't have 6 colors.
You got to.
Yeah. What kind of animals do has 6 colors?
What kind of stupid universe would that be?
Yeah, throw some indigo in there. Yeah.
No, but if he got deeply religious, he could have said, well, the universe was created in 6 days.
Right.
You know,
there you go.
It's not 7 days, 6 days.
Yeah, that's
people forget. It was 6 days.
6 days. 7th day he rested.
He rested.
Which I'm just saying, what kind of God is this?
He needs to take a break.
Like, me is so damn hard. Oh, me is hard.
Oh, me. Oh, my me.
Oh, my me. It's so hard to make a universe. I need a rest. Oh, Lord, I can't do no more. Did I say Lord? Who am I talking to? Ooh. Lord, me is hot in this. Ooh, I'm so tired. Anyway. Okay. But
now I forgot what we were talking about.
Photons everywhere.
Photons. Right. So anything that is at any temperature at all,
right,
is radiating photons.
There you go. That's what I was going to say. Because if you're a predator, you see photons all the time.
You mean the movie character?
Yeah, the monster with the dreadlocks.
Yeah, he had dreads.
Yeah,
he had dreadlocks.
Yeah.
So Predator,
I didn't appreciate that.
Could see in infrared.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, you know what's interesting?
Go ahead.
Just a little fact.
Right.
I think about movies all the time.
Okay.
So that was only cool because the infrared was the shadowy shape.
Right.
That means he has low resolution infrared cameras.
Right. Yeah.
We got better cameras than that today.
We do.
High resolution, you see the full person there. Depending on your temperature, it will determine what kind of light you're predominantly going to emit.
Right.
So at our temperature, we emit primarily infrared, so we'll show up in infrared. We reflect visible light.
Right.
But we emit
infrared.
Your walls are room temperature, so they'll emit a little less infrared because they're not as warm as we are.
All right.
You keep dropping the temperature. What's on the other side of infrared? Microwaves.
Okay.
And then radio waves. So the colder it is, the further down the spectrum it shifts. So that when you're only 3 degrees Kelvin, 3 degrees above absolute, you're giving off microwaves.
That's it.
And that's the cosmic microwave background.
Space, right.
That's it.
Cosmic microwave
background. So yeah, and it could be dark for you, no problem. Not many people have been in complete, total darkness in their life.
True.
Do you know how to get it?
I'm going to say blindfold and
that can help.
And then bury yourself alive.
Okay. I was thinking of other ways for that.
Okay.
But if you go spelunking.
Oh, you mean to a cave?
Into a cave. You go deep into a cave, make a few turns.
So there's no light getting in at all.
Turn off your flashlight.
Right.
You cannot see
anything.
Anything.
Yeah. See, now, and no disrespect to anybody, but that's some white people stuff.
No black man ever
will
died.
Never find a black man dead in a cave with no light at all. First of all, I'm not going in there because even with a flashlight, be like, where'd Chuck go? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Okay? These are jokes. Don't write. Don't write. All right, I'm going to stop. Let's move on. All right. So there you go. There you go, Rachel.
I like the Muhammad. Give me the Muhammad Ali comment.
That's right. I'm so fast. I turn off the light. I'm in the bed before the room get dark.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. What would you do if an alien actually showed up? Would you shake its hand or run? Does it even have a hand to shake? In my latest book, Take Me to Your Leader, I explore not only how they might have gotten here, but what they might want and how you should respond. Because the real question is not, are we alone? It's, are we ready? By the way, I also narrated Take Me to Your Leader. And I'm duly informed that you can get a copy of that book or the audiobook now, wherever books are sold. You should probably get the book sooner rather than later. You don't want to have a first alien encounter and not be ready for it. I'm just saying.
This is Max Wilburn, who says, hey, Chuck, hey, Neil, this is Maxwell from Lexington, Kentucky.
Ooh.
And I know Neil thinks very highly of Newton, as he has accomplished so much, but recently I learned about Newton's law of cooling. Although it's not as fundamental and such a stepping stone for the world of physics, I just find it insane that as a side quest, he did that. What a badass. What are your thoughts?
I did not know about his law of cooling. I don't know about the
law. I think his law of cooling was, don't you love my hair? Look how cool it is.
But I think that was a wig he was wearing.
Oh, no.
I was so distraught upon learning this.
Really?
Yes.
So his hair notwithstanding, do you have anything to say about the law of cooling?
So I didn't know he came up with that, but it is a well-known means of calculating the rate of temperature change in physics class.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way you do it is you have two materials at different temperatures.
All right.
Okay. And you bring them in contact in some way, either physically, so that atoms are touching each other, or have air molecules bouncing back and forth, or they're radiatively connected. You connect them in some way.
Okay.
Okay. And then you measure the rate at which the temperature changes so that they reach equilibrium to each other.
Cool.
Okay.
Right.
So it's not just that sorry. One of them might have a continual source of energy going in.
Mm-hmm.
So then the cool thing comes up to its temperature. You see what I'm saying? But if they're two isolated objects at different temperatures, they will meet in the middle somewhere.
Right.
At a temperature lower than the high one and higher than the low one.
Gotcha.
All right. So you can calculate the rate at which the temperature changes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And deduce, as Isaac Newton apparently did. I own everything that man's ever written, and I've got to go dig that up.
You got to go dig up the law of cooling.
That must be a chapter I missed.
Yeah.
Okay. So what it states is the bigger the temperature difference, the faster the rate of change of temperature will be.
Okay.
Which kind of makes sense. It just kind of makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
And if you do some measurements of that, you can actually represent it with an equation.
Okay.
And you can make a prediction.
Right.
This is the temperature difference. They'll be the same temperature in 10 minutes.
Right.
Or, by the way, this is happening every day. You get a glass of water, you put ice in it.
Right.
Eventually,
it's going to be water.
The ice will melt. And then you have water that's cold, but it's still air temperature out here.
That's right.
Eventually, that comes up.
And that comes up. That was an assignment in physics class when I was in 8th grade. And what we had to do was plot the melting of the ice in a graph to see whether or not it was linear. And it was.
Yeah, that would be a cooling curve.
Yeah, that's a cooling curve.
It's gaining heat from the outside.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
there you go. Look at that. See, people, these are the things you can think of when you are not busy thinking about sex, like Isaac Newton. This is what happens. You become a genius because you're just like, well, I ain't having sex, so I might as well think about how do things melt.
Yeah, he never married, had no children, had no known intimate relationships. And so we're pretty sure when he came up with his law of gravitation and motion and calculus, that he was a virgin.
Right. There you go, babe. That's it. Like a prize fighter. You know what I mean? You know what they say? You got to stay hungry. All right, here we go. Ben Grun says, hey, Star Talk. This is God, here to bestow upon you the keys of limitless energy.
Ooh.
What do you do?
Oh. Wow. Well, first, I don't think it requires God. We just have to tap the energy from the sun.
There you go. Bro, we got this. Thanks.
I say, God, we got, we'll worry about somebody else. Take care of that homeless man in the street. We got the energy thing. We're kind of slow on the go here, but the sun has basically unlimited energy. And the Chinese are now want to put up a solar array in orbit, where there's no clouds. And if it's far enough away from Earth, it always sees the sun 24/7. Beam it down to Earth by microwaves. So then you have this column of microwaves. What could go wrong?
Right. I want to cross that path for sure.
But unlimited energy. Yeah. Here's what I would do. You ready?
Go ahead.
I would do what they did in Iceland.
What's that?
Iceland is sitting on top of volcanoes. You know this?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's volcano land. It's not Iceland.
It's not Iceland, yeah.
Greenland is Iceland, not Greenland.
Right, exactly.
All right. It's the opposite here. So I want to do what they do in Iceland.
Go ahead.
They heat their water at these lava pits up in the mountains and then send the water into town, but they do it under the streets so that snow never accumulates.
Genius.
You don't need snow plows. Right. You don't need salt.
Right.
You don't need accident reports.
Nope. It snows and then the streets are they're just clear.
I would run hot water under everything. And then you just snow be damned.
It's radiant heating for your whole city.
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Yes, and other things I might use unlimited energy for.
I'll tell you what I'd use it for.